Champions, it's Iain from RTO. Welcome to a Monday, it's Christmas week. 2 days, 2 sleeps before the big day. So today is the last day of normal sort of videos, and we're going to kick off today with part 4 of the Van Morrison story, and we're going to look at Van Morrison's albums from the 1980s. Some I like, some I don't like, so as much. So we'll kick off. We've got 8 to go through today. So coming in at number 8, we have an album released in 1983, and it's his 14th studio album, and it's called Inarticulate Speech of the Heart. Lots of people play on here, so we'll crack on with the tracks. So the first track is called Higher Than the World. Although Van Morrison's vocals are pretty good in this, I don't like the horrible smooth synthy smooth run sound. Doesn't suit Van Morrison. Not a good track in my books. Then we got Con's Water, one of the better songs on here. The keyboard sound is sort of more in that Celtic frame of mind. It's not too bad. River of Time, another nice song. The guitars are okay and the keyboards are not too bad. It's not so much 80s production. Celtic Swing, I don't mind this. I like the saxophone, but I hate the 80s sounding guitar. Rave On, John Donne. Once again, some wonderful saxophone on it. It's the best thing of the track. The rest of it is just too smooth. There's no rawness. It's just pretty plastic. Then we have Inarticulate Speech of the Heart, number 1. It's 80s sounding. It's not that horrible 80s production. I don't like it. Irish Heartbeat, really nice. This is proper Celtic song. Great vocal from Van. Best track on the album. The Street Only Knew Your Name, more than 80s nonsense. It's well overproduced. Cry for Home, not too bad. It's not as bad as some of the other tracks. And then Inarticulate Speech of the Heart, number 2, a bit repetitive. It's got a lot of horrible keyboards. The saxophone's good on it. Saturday Night, I think this song would have been better as an acoustic song. Way too much 80s production on it. This is one of those albums, I like the songs, but I just don't like the production of it. It's simple as that. I hate the production on this album, so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Coming in at number 7 from 1986, No Guru, No Method, No Teacher. First track on here is Got to Go Back. Not a bad song. I love the brush drums and the backing vocals on it. There's nice tones on this. I love the clarinet. It's a really nice song. On the Warm Feeling, a little bit of that 80s feel to it, but the clarinet sounds fantastic. Foreign Window, some nice backing vocals, a great vocal from Van, one of the better tracks on this album. A Town Called Paradise, love the bass in this, really drives that song along, and some nice acoustic guitar on that. That's pretty good. In the Garden, one of my favourite songs on here. I love that bass and piano. It's a nice gentle guitar track. Excellent vocal from Van as well. Then we've got a song called Tia Na Nog. String arrangements, this thing. It's a long song, but it's soft. Really good. Then my favourite on here is Here Comes the Night. As in the man on a horseback and shiny armour. It's a great song. It's got more of that 70s feel to it. It's a nice arrangement, nice clarinet, and I do like the vocal from Van on that. Thanks for the information. The horrible 80s synthy keyboards on it just ruins it. One Irish Rover, great little song, but it has got a horrible 80s keyboard on it. It just ruined it. But I do like the song and the melody. Ivory Tower, it's okay. This album is not as heavily produced 80s, but it's still got them twinges, and I just didn't like it. I just don't think the 80s production is what Van Morrison's about. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in number 6 is a collaboration album that he done. It's his 18th album, and it's called Irish Heartbeat, and it's with Van Morrison with the Chieftains. So you've got Van Morrison on lead vocals and guitars, you've got Paddy Maloney on ukulele, pipes and tin whistle, Martin Fay on fiddle and bones, Derek Bell on the harp and keyboards, Kevin Conneff on vocals, Matt Malloy flute, Sean Keane on fiddle, Kieran O'Brien on bass, Mary Black, great Irish singer, does backing vocals, and Maura O'Connell does backing vocals as well. June Boyce does as well. So the first track is called Star of the County Down. Lovely song about County Down, which I know quite a lot about. And it's got some lovely Irish drum in it. Irish Heartbeat, wonderful song. Some great backing vocals. Really is a good song. Then Tal Meow Clem Manas Dianta, which is My Match Is Made. My Gaelic is terrible. Proper Irish jig, ballady, lovely track. Then we have Ralgan Road, proper Irish music, jigging around, really excellent track. She Moved Through the Fair, my favourite song on here. It's got a great vocal. I'll Tell Me Ma, a good little track. The Irish drum works well on that. Carrot Fergus, not a bad version of this. Heard quite a few of that versions. That's a really good song. Celtic Ray, mixture of traditional Irish music and a little bit of rock. Van and the Chieftains do a good verse, do a good little track on that. Then we got My Lag and Love, lovely song. The tin whistle on here is wonderful. Marie's Wedding is wonderful. The backing vocals, you can definitely hear Mary Black. We will be doing something on Mary Black next year, I promise. It's a really good album, this is. I like listening to this, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.3. Okay, coming in at number 5, we have his 17th album. It was released in 1987, and it's called Poetic Champions Compose. First track on here is called Spanish Steps. I love this. I love that jazzy saxophone in it, and it's a great vocal from Van. The Mystery, a big hit off this album. It's not my favourite track on here, but I do love the strings. Queen of the Slipstream, the 80s sound is starting to go away. The guitar work on this is fabulous. I Forgot That Love Existed, lovely bass line. The keyboard is okay. It's not got that horrible synthy 80s sound on it. Sometimes I Feel Like a Mother's Child, fantastic traditional song. It's got a little bit of 80s drumming on it, but it's not too bad. Celtic Excavation, piano, Van, gentle, wonderful. Someone Like You, another gentle track. Love the vocal from Van on that. Alan Watt Blues, my favourite track on here. It's got that real early 70s feel to it. Great track. Give Me My Rapture. I love the organ on here. It's not that synthy, and it's a proper rich organ sound, and it really adds to it. Did Ye Get Healed? Saxophones on it, a quirky little tune, excellent. And the last track, Allow Me, relaxing, that piano and bass and a nice saxophone piece on it, and another great vocal. I think this is a pretty solid album. Definitely one of the better albums from the 80s. It's got lots of great saxophone on it, so I shall give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 4 from 1989, Avalon Sunset. The first track is a little duo he does with a certain Mr. Cliff Richard, and it's called Whenever God Shines His Light. Quirky. It's a nice track. I like it. Contacting My Angel. The guitar work on this is fabulous. It's a nice, gentle track with a fantastic vocal from Van Morrison. I'd love to write another song. A lovely little bluesy tracks here with some nice horns on it. My favourite on the album. Have I Told You Lately? It's a great track. Second favourite on here, and Van does a great version of it. Coney Island. It's Van telling a story. I wish it was a lot longer. It's only 2 minutes because I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I'm Tired of Joey Boy, a short little track with some really nice strings on it. Excellent track. When I ever learned to live in God, one of the more traditional Van Morrison songs. Nice organ, some nice drumming on it. Fabulous little track. Orange Field, solid track. Bit like the previous track, but it's a good track. Daring Night. The piano and organ combination on this is great, with that gentle drum in the background works very well. These Are the Days, another of my favourites on here. It's so relaxing. What a fine vocal and a great out track to end the album. The 80s sound has totally gone. It's going back to what Van knows best. This album is very underrated, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, coming in at number 3, from 1985, A Sense of Wonder. Playing on here is Van Morrison guitar and pianos, John Allaire on the Hammond organ, Bob Dole on trumpet, Tom Dollinger on the drums, Pee Wee Ellis on the tenor saxophone, David Hayes on the bass, Pauline Lanzo backing vocals, Chris Mishi on the guitar, Bianca Thornton backing vocals. So the first track on here is Tour Down la Rimole. Start again. Tour Down a la Rimole. Really good track. There's a little bit of 80s guitar on here, but it's more of a natural sound and not manufactured. Ancient of Days. Very smooth guitar, but it doesn't spoil the track. Evening Meditation. Nice track. I love the guitar on here. It's got that natural feeling to it as well. The Master's Eyes, a very gospel track. Very good. The backing vocals are fabulous. It sounds nice and crisp on it. Then we have a Ray Charles number, What Would I Do? And it's my favourite track on here. It's a great cover of the Ray Charles song. Van does it so much justice, and that's why it's my favourite track on the album. A Sense of Wonder. It's got a gospel choir on it. It's got some saxophone. Yeah, it works lovely. Buffy, Flo and Spike. My second favourite on here. It's just so simple. It's a nice quirky track as well. Then he does another cover, and this one's a Moose Allison track. If You Only Knew. A good cover of this song, and I love the saxophone on it. Let the Slave, which incorporates The Price of Experience of William Blake. Very moving track. Love the spoken word on it. It gives it a little bit of meaning. Then we have A New Kind of Woman, a nice little track, crispy, some nice saxophone, good way to end the track. Now, for an album that came out right in the middle of the 80s, 85, the production on it is pretty good. The guitars sound a lot better, and that's got that natural tone to it. And I love the track, this album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2, we've got his 12th album. This was released in 1980, and it's called CommonOne. Van Morrison on vocals, guitars and harmonica, Mick Cox on the guitar, Herbie Armstrong on guitars, David Hayes on the bass, John Allaire on the Hammond and all keyboards. Pee Wee Ellis is there again on the saxophones and flute, Mark Isham on trumpets and flugelhorn, Pete Brewis on backing vocals, and Peter Van Hook on the drums. First track on here is a little track called Haunts of Ancient Peace. This is a great track, so relaxing. Saxophone keeps coming in and out of the track. Excellent track. Summertime in England. This is a jazzy long piece, bluesy, with a bit of funk. So you've got all these different genres put into the track, and I think that's why it works. It flows really well. My favourite track on here, though, is Satisfied. I think the horns that do it for me, it really adds to it. It's a great vocal from Van. And then we have Wild Honey, one of my favourite vocals on this album from Van. The strings and the horns work well. I love that little bit of jazzy piano. Spirit, interesting vocal here by Van. It's sort of gentle, and he changes the tempo when the horns come in. Powerful song. And the last track, When Heart Is Open, Another heartwarming song, lovely story to it. The flute piece on this is wonderful. It's an absolutely fantastic vocal as well. Yet another good album, solid from top to bottom. Not a bad track on this. I like the different textures of mixes of songs and textures on this album, so I shall give it an RTO ranking of 7.3. But my favourite album by Van Morrison from the 1980s is his 13th album that he released in 1982, and it's Beautiful Vision. Lots of people on here, but there is one significant guest. Mark Knopfler plays guitar on Cleaning Windows and Orion Miss. First track, Celtic Ray. Love this. Wonderful, wonderful track. Celtic, mystique, fantastic vocals. Northern Muse, my favourite track on here. It's that horn section that really gives it that depth, and it's one of the best vocals by Van Morrison, I think, in the 80s. Dweller of the Threshold, very funky track. The guitar tones are fantastic on here, and I love the bass line. Beautiful Vision, I love this. It's the acoustic guitar. It's got a jazzy feel to it when that electric guitar comes in, really good. She Gives Me My Religion comes next, another gospel sort of track. The vocals and the horns work well, it's very, very uplifting. Then we have Cleaning Windows, my second favourite track on here. You can hear that distinctive Mark Knopfler style of playing guitar. Love the bass well as well. Then we have Van Loose Stairway. The harmonica is great. Van Morrison on the harmonica. Bluesy, the drumming is great on here as well. It really, really good. That drumming keeps the track going. Then we have Orion Miss, another lovely piece of work. Again, Mark Knopfler is great on here. It's really special. Across the Bridge Where the Angels Dwell. Great vocal from Van on here. Some lovely guitar work on it as well. And then we have Scandinavia. It's a terrific track. It starts gentle and it builds up. It's got one of the best bass lines on the track as well. Now, this is an album I love playing in the evening when I'm doing something like, oh, if I'm reading, if I'm doing some little research for a video. I like putting this on because it sort of gentles the mood for the evening. It's definitely the best album of the 80s. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, that's its 80s done. Now the 90s we'll be doing on January. When is it? January the 6th. Because I'm taking next week completely off. So January the 6th we will be doing his 90s album. Coming up next though is A Perfect Side, and as it's leading up to Christmas, I thought I would do a great Christmas album. It's the Christmas album from Phil Spector. So I'm going to pick my favourite side on that. So join me for that later. Bye for now.